come to order. Please rise for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of March 25th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Possession.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
In your packet, there are 2 sets of minutes, I believe, from prior meetings. The first set would be for the workshop prior to the last village board meeting on March 11th. Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Possession.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
And then the second set of minutes was from the same night, and that was for the regular board meeting. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Giannotti.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Kraus.
Abstain.
Possession.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the board? All right. Village clerk's report.
Excuse me. The tax income received in the month of February is $252,615.04. Also attached to the clerk's report is a request from Misericordia Foundation. They're requesting permission to hold their annual Jelly Belly Candy Day Tag Day fundraising event in Beecher on Friday, April 26th and Saturday, April 27th. In their letter, they addressed everything that we usually request from them, obtaining permission from individual businesses where they plan to stand in front of to solicit. They do not plan to be in any roadways, and they provided a copy of their certificate of insurance. So they pretty much all already met our requirements, and a formal motion isn't needed, just no objection from the board. If anybody has any questions.
Does anyone have any objection? No? Okay. All righty. Trustee Giannotti, do you want to go up first, or do you just want to go the regular?
There.
You're good? Okay. All right, under my report, before I go into my other things, I am going to address Trustee Ucession, who is, this is going to be his last official board meeting. So I prepared some remarks, since when I go ad lib, I always forget half of it. Ben, I can't tell you how much I'll miss having you on the board, from your interesting and somehow entertaining reports during meetings, to the amount of time and effort you've dedicated to Youth Commission and the concert series. Most of all, I'd like to thank you for bringing the Christmas celebration to life. You've helped turn it into a true family event, and I sincerely hope you continue being involved in the celebration. You won't have to get quite as deeply involved as a private citizen, but I can't imagine having it without you involved. Thanks again for your very practical and level-headed consideration that you always give to the topics that come before the board. You will be missed.
Thank you.
And we actually have a little certificate for you. Come on up. It's just a certificate of appreciation to Ben Ucession, in appreciation for 4 years of dedicated and committed service to the village of Beecher and its citizens.
Thank you.
All right, can I get a picture of both of you again? Open it up.
We have to have the,
Great. Got it, thank you.
Seal in there.
I don't do this very often, so it's like,
how do we do this? Alrighty. Under my report, I know the applicant is not here, but we had the Huddle Sports Cards and Collectibles came to me, along with a plethora of other people who came to me about liquor licenses. But he is going to be putting in, what do you call it, golf simulators, and he wanted a liquor license. So, unfortunately, when you give out a liquor license, then you're also able to do gaming. He said he has absolutely no interest in gaming, and that once the simulator's in, he can't fit them in there anyway. He just wanted people to come in while they're golfing and be able to have a beer. So we had a general conversation about the potential of and, you know, I've got a difference of opinion from our attorney, there's work to do on this, but we discussed the possibility of coming up with some kind of an ordinance that would allow a BYOB, bring your own bottle kind of a, it's not really a liquor license, but a situation, if we did an ordinance so that people could bring in their own liquor with limits, you would have to have some specifics about it, but they wouldn't have an actual liquor license. And according to the gaming board, the chief did some research, and where the gaming board is concerned, if you don't have a pour license, you can't have gaming. So the only way you have gaming is if you're pouring drinks on premise. So just general consensus, is that something you guys would be interested in pursuing? Or, I mean, you may want to, you know, see what he's gonna do with the business and consider a liquor license. But I was trying to come up with a way to curb the amount of liquor licenses, curb the amount of gaming, while still letting people do business the way they need to do business.
Is BYOB a license, or would it be?
It would be like an ordinance
permit?
that allowed, it would be some kind of a permit, exactly. We'd probably have to be careful to not make it look like a liquor license. I know our attorney has reservations because he says there's still issues, there's things you have to surmount. I mean, you know, there can be abuse, and you would have to put the same kind of limits as you would on a liquor license, where minors can't bring liquor in, and you have a limit, and it's cans, and, you know, whatever limitations you wanted to put on it. And that would be discussed with the attorney to try to set something up, but just kind of wondered consensus-wise what you guys think of the whole idea before we spin wheels for no apparent reason.
Do we know how any other towns handle that?
Actually, chief, did they have any of those? And
I didn't ask.
okay.
I sent those ordinances to you guys.
Yeah, there were a few, the ones that our attorney looked at were actually liquor licenses where you brought your own in, but they poured it for you. I failed to see why that would even, why bother, you know?
Lockport does have it, because I know one of the cigar shops has it where you can bring your own.
You'll bring your own in, yeah. Yeah, and theirs might be, because that was the ones that, that our attorney saw, were ones where you can bring it in, but they pour it for you, so that they can control probably how much you're drinking. But once you do that, if someone's pouring it for you, they're basically a bartender, and it's a liquor license, so. We could do a little research into it, we could do some digging, if it's something you guys are interested in. I don't wanna start racking up attorney's fees if,
Is there a way to set parameters to that then? Like what they'd have to meet certain parameters, even be considered for a permit for something like that?
I believe we could set that up.
So I'm not, as long as it doesn't lead to a liquor license, and then once they have that, we have no control over whether they get gaming. I don't know the person, I mean, whether they say they want it or not, it doesn't matter. As soon as they get that license, they can get it. So if it doesn't lead to that, I'm open to it. The only thing I'd say, because this is what, the second meeting this has come up that the person hasn't been here,
No,
or is it the first time?
yeah, this is the first one. And I believe they were going to come tonight, and I
Okay.
think it's because I said, well, let me see how the board feels about the BYOB. Because what I did was I went to him and explained to him, I says, here's some thoughts. Do you have to have a liquor license, or would you be interested in a BYOB if we were able to do this? I said, knowing that, because he said he was not interested in gaming. I said, okay, well, if we set up a BYOB license, you would be unable to do gaming. And he said, that's fine, he doesn't want the gaming. So, the problem is, if you give him a liquor license, and maybe you don't want gaming today, and I told him this, and then suddenly things change in 2 years, and then you do want gaming. Once you have the liquor license, we no longer have any control over what happens after that.
And just say, I mean, if he's gonna do his homework, maybe wait to do ours, so like you said, so we're not spending money if he's gonna end up not wanting to do it. If he comes and does all the paperwork, then, yeah, I'm fine seeing him.
Oh, he 100% wants to serve liquor there,
Okay.
have liquor. It's just a matter of whether he comes in and does a full application for a liquor license. And then the second issue is, doing the application for a liquor license, I was very specific that we're going to have food service, which there's no room for. And I says, I can't back away from the food service. There's too many businesses in town that have their liquor license, and they've gone bent over backwards as far as, you know, providing the food that is specified that they have to do, so that's not something we could back off on. So if you did some kind of a BYOB, then that would kind of eliminate the whole need for the kitchen. And I was looking at it as a way to be able to kind of have people do business the way they want to do business without having it impact the town, you know.
think it's a fair compromise if we can structure it under
I
whatever
think we should
parameters
look
the
into
board
the
wants.
BYOB.
Okay. Okay, good. One other thing I said I would bring up, I heard from a resident, and I have a feeling I know what the answer to this is gonna be, but I said I would bring it up with the board. It's been multiple years since this has come up. There was talk about doing dog parks at some point. And the resident actually brought up Lions Park, which basically, I was talking to Matt about it, and that's that's basically a detention pond. So that wouldn't be the best place for it, but I don't know of any area in town, even if we were in favor of it, that you'd be able to do it where it's not close to residential and you have, dogs running around or having to put up fencing and have it cost a bunch of money. And my issue was Public Works and doing maintenance, no matter how much people say they're gonna take care of their animals, humans are humans and sometimes things don't happen. Then again, people that love dogs like an idea of a dog park. What do you guys think about dog parks?
Isn't there one just like?
I know,
5
down
miles
on
up the road?
394, they were asking about something closer, yep, exactly, there is one down the road.
We just got done doing all our projects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where are we gonna put it and how are we gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
And, when we talked about this before, I know they were thinking that the township was thinking of out by the township, but, I think that ship has sailed, but I said I would bring it up to see if there's any interest.
I will say, at our current parks we have now, we are cleaning up a lot of dog feces at at Depot
regular
Park
parks.
and Fireman's Park and things like that, where people already aren't maintaining what they should be doing with their dogs. So adding an additional area that's specific to dogs, I think we're just asking for more problems.
Yeah. Good enough? Alrighty, well, that concludes my report. Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Kraus.
Consider a motion, pay the bills and payroll in an amount of $86,625.21.
Okay. And there was a motion on the?
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Did I not say that?
You said consider that. Sorry. There's a motion
Make
and
a
a
motion.
second, discussion,
It's been a while.
roll call.
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Giannetti.
Yes.
I don't know if I could find a date on this, but we were starting the meeting going, where's the date? All right, that's it.
Yes.
Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, Trustee Giannetti.
Here we go. Alright, it's a long one. So, discussion and consideration of the motion to approve bid packages 6 through 16A as submitted and negotiated by JMA Architects in the total contract amount of $3,351,155 for the new police facility. Bid package 6 for masonry, Lozich Masonry in the amount of $400,000. Bid package 7 for structural steel supply, McKinley Steel and Sales in the amount of $23,085. Bid package 8 for carpentry and general construction, the Joseph Construction Company in the amount of $1,070,000. Bid package 9 for roofing and sheet metal for Filtro Roofing in the amount of $96,000. Bid package 10 for flooring, Consolidated Flooring of Chicago in the amount of $97,500. Bid package 11 for acoustical ceiling, Just Right Acoustics Inc. in the amount of $86,000. Bid package 12 for painting, Osterman and Sons in the amount of $49,180. Bid package 13 for fire protection, Advanced Fire Protection Company in the amount of $55,000. Bid package 14 for plumbing to Reichert Plumbing Inc. in the amount of $243,850. Bid package 15 for mechanical, Glady Plumbing and Piping Company in the amount of $455,000. Bid package 16 for electrical, Idicom Indicom, Electric Company LLC in the amount of $750,000. Bid package 16A for fire alarm lease, quality alarm in the amount of $25,540. So I would like to make a motion, to approve the bid packages, numbered 6 through 16A as submitted and negotiated by JMA Architect in the total contract amount of $3,351,155 for the new police facility.
Are you gonna read the rest of that in your motion?
Do it all again.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
Did this end up including everything that was left off from
So,
prior?
the only things that are not on here currently are the cameras and the low voltage electric, which they're still working on. Some of the camera system that we had, like pull cameras and stuff like that, they're still figuring out what we exactly need. They might take the cameras off the poles in the parking lot, because originally the parking lot was gonna be bigger. So they're still working on what specific cameras we need and what vendor we're gonna use, because the package for the cameras came in very high. And then the low voltage, they're also figuring out like exactly how many computer stations do we need and stuff like that. So they'll have that trimmed down and ready to present to us at the beginning of next month. So our next meeting, they'll have the last two packages prepared and ready to go. So this is everything else. Those packages, they're estimating, if you guys look at the submittal here in your packet, their pending contracts is at $163,000. That's for those two. Now the camera company that they're talking to currently, they estimate that this is gonna come in under that 163 with the camera company and the low voltage once they determine what it is, but they just wanted to make sure they put about 81,000 per package item based on where the bids came in at. So,
They found, other contractors as well in both those categories, so.
yes,
They're hoping to reduce the price significantly.
yeah, so
So we're at about 4 or 5 now, about another 150,000-ish?
somewhere in there, it might be a little bit lower though. So we'll still have another 152 left over for furnishing. And this also includes the generator, this includes the community room completely finished. So, I mean, if we wanted to talk, if we got to that point, we need to talk about maybe doing something with the community room and going back to not doing it, but not completing it. That's possible, but this is completing the community room, this is generator installed. So all the things that we said we needed, they are all on here. So this 4.5, Todd, that includes this extra negotiation here.
Okay.
So it's still possible that this is like 4.525. They're thinking closer to that. So, but
So the
that's
4.5 includes the 163.
that, yeah,
Okay, it's not gonna
includes
be over the top
163.
of
I'm
that.
sorry, yeah. So right
Oh,
now,
the 4 or 5 includes the 160?
yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking at this wrong. So right now, what we approved, so their goal was 1% across the project, and they're right on target for that.
Okay.
So that 1% will get us to that 4.5-ish. So,
You're done.
All right, roll call.
Giannotti,
yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Beecher.
Yes.
And I would like to add, JMA is willing to set up and facilitate the groundbreaking, so we talked, maybe a committee meeting or something, and just talk about groundbreaking process and stuff. They have all the hard hats and shovels, and they'll contact me and all that, get a sign made and everything, so.
Could we get each scoop taken off the bill that we did?
But, right now, we're in plan review with Safe Built, so that's about a 2-week process, they said, so it's looking like, they should be able to get excavating equipment and stuff moved in here, shortly after that, so.
Great.
Nice.
So, ground will start to be moving and people will start seeing something, so those bids that we approved at the last meeting, that portion of the work will start getting rolling here soon. So,
Nice.
Good job, everybody.
yes, indeed. On a lighter note, porta potties have been delivered, so all the parks have their porta potties, so if the residents are concerned, I know there's been a lot of people out with the weather being a little bit warmer, so the porta potties are delivered to all the parks. They're by the multi-use courts at the high school as well. We have one down there this year, so that way there's one there. So people have the facilities that they're using that. Also, the multi-sports court opening day is
Monday, April 1st.
Monday, April 1st. Look at that. Lines up on a Monday, so yeah. So April 1st we'll be open up to the sports courts. So all the pickleball players waiting to get in. That concludes my report.
Warming my shoulders up.
Planning, Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Gardner.
Thank you. Update on zoning ordinance revision, nothing new real to report there. We're still waiting the draft from Tesca on that. The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is scheduled for this Thursday, March 28th at 7 p.m. That concludes my report.
All right, Public Safety Committee, Trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the execution of the intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Beecher and the Village of Peatone related to the administrative adjudication. This was approved at the last board meeting, however, there were some language changes to the IGA, so this is being brought back to our board for the approval of the changes. So Peatone basically had a couple of language changes that they wanted to see done, and we're in consensus with still moving forward, so just need to make a motion to approve that execution.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion?
When you guys gonna start this?
I don't know what
Soon as we can.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I think got all the software, everything's ready to roll, so.
Okay. Roll call?
Musician,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
And an update on the bike rodeo. I know the last few years we tried doing it in July with the 4th of July festivities that we have going on, but unfortunately due to staffing, and last year we had a hard time trying to staff it, and the officers were asking if we can move that back to being in June. So I think we're looking at a June 1st date. We're gonna bring it back to June 1st, right, that first weekend when school gets out, just because a lot of the officers weren't there to be present during the 4th of July festivities, because we had them there at nighttime.
Well, they were working the night before, and then they had to come in that night again after the bike rodeo too.
So, is it consensus that we go ahead and make and start posting on that, or you guys still really want it to be in July?
I think it's a good idea to do it.
Go ahead. June? Okay, alright, thank you. And we'll get the flyers out, I think getting the flyers out to the school will work too. Chief, anything like that?
I do, Madam President and members of the village board, good evening. I was presented with a petition last week that I thought I'd mention to you because it was signed by like almost all the members of the McDonald's, the workers at McDonald's, who we have a great relationship with. The petition is for Officer Rodriguez, Officer DeButch, and Sergeant DeCourt, AKA Thor, because he looks like the actor Thor, I guess. You know. So they would like our officers to be able to have beards year round. So I will tell you that you know, I'm in the business called a dinosaur. So I have old-fashioned traditional rules, and I'm not really for beards. And as I put my foot in my mouth looking at 4 of our trustees who have beards.
That worked for you, what you want?
But I just honestly don't think it endears us to the community and the people we represent. But I am a dinosaur. Now, Marcella is the manager, and she voted with me. So she's a dinosaurette, I guess. But my point is, I am considering extending No Shave November like a month or 2 next year, because I just want to show that I'm not really that much of a dinosaur. If there's any opposition, please let me know.
Thank you, Chief.
I don't see a whole lot of opposition to beards.
I'm definitely against it.
No one can have a beard.
No beards.
You do your.
Alrighty,
That concludes my report.
alright. Public Works Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an updated discussion on the Penfield Street Improvement Project. Matthew, do you have something on that?
Sure. Iroquois Paving is gonna be starting to move equipment in this week if they haven't already. They're gonna start with removing some of the sidewalks that's already been damaged by machinery and things of that nature, and then Terraza is coming in shortly after in the coming weeks to start laying in new curb as well as sidewalks, trying to button some stuff up. And Iroquois is looking to do the final layer on Penfield as well as the 500 and the 600 block of Gould Street all before the first week of May. Their goal is to get out of here by May 1st. I don't think it's going to happen just with weather and things of that nature, but that's their goal. That's what they'd like to do. So there's going to be some, again, conflicts with traffic and things like that along Penfield Street, but it's not going to be anywhere like it was before. The 600 block of Gould Street will be 100% shut down at some point for approximately 1 week. That section they're taking all the way down to the subbase and redoing everything from below grade up, where the 500 block they're just doing what they call milling and resurfacing. So that area down there by Ambet's Lounge will remain open, but up by Sit and Bull, Gold Vault, and the sports where the golf simulator guy is at, that area there will be shut down completely for a while. The boardwalk will remain open, so patrons can park on either end and walk up the sidewalk that way, but there will be some inconvenience there as well. So, but we'll be in contact with the business owners when that time comes.
Okay. Discussion on Cardinal Creek Lift Station during the replacement of the failed pump. Superior Pump Services pulled the second pump and found the condition of the second pump to be even worse than the pump that failed. Superintendent will provide further information on that.
Yeah, I should have, I have pictures I can show anybody that's interested. I should have printed some off, I apologize for that. But again, kind of like we suspected when the first pump came out, they're the same age, sitting in the same toxic water, things of that nature for the same amount of time since April of 2006, so almost 18 years. The second pump is definitely in dire need of replacement as well, and it's not far behind pump one from failing. So if Roger wants to move on to the second part of this, I'll make a, a comment on that.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Consider a motion to approve the purchase of a new pump to replace the second pump at Cardinal Creek Lift Station in the amount of $37,000. Looking for pre-authorization to purchase the pump due to the lengthy lead time on shipping. I would like to make a motion on purchasing that in the amount of $37,000.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
Trustee Stacy, is this budget or next year's budget's coming out of?
If I may make my comment that I was going to. So this pump is anywhere from 9 to 15 weeks out, depending. It's coming from Sweden, depending on if it comes over by boat or by aircraft.
Naturally.
So this would be a purchase out of next year's budget. The administrator and I have already talked about adding this into next year's budget in the current in the budget that we're working on. I just like to get it ordered now, knowing that, you know, once it arrives, we'll definitely be into next year's
Was it
budget.
in that latest budget that I got?
No.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call?
Giannetti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
Okay, discussion to consider a motion to approve a purchase not to exceed $10,000 towards a joint purchase of a new computer for the joint fuel system.
Do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
We met today, the Joint Fuel Committee met to discuss doing this purchase. This company came out and gave a presentation of the new software that they would install. At the end of the day, the entire cost of that, the whole project would be $19,235. So we discussed
usage, and we did, you know, a percentage, and we initially, how this even came about was because we've been having issues with the fuel system, and it does need to be replaced, it's quite antiquated, having issues with the, even when Donna goes in to do like the billing, it's putting in, you know, diesel when it's actually unleaded, and she's looking at her computer, and Mike over at the township's looking at his, but they're seeing two different things. So, I mean, it really does need to be updated, and Matt had said that in his, fuel budget, that there actually is quite a bit, probably because we've had such a mild winter. You know, the offer was to, you know, put $10,000 towards that. In speaking with, like I said, we did like a percentage of who uses, you know, what percent of fuel. And we came out where the school uses, and so basically we wanted, so everybody's bringing it to their boards to see for approval, obviously, so the school's gonna take it to their board. Mike Smith wasn't at the meeting today, so I don't know if he even knows, at that stage of the game, so he would have to approve his portion as well. But the school districts was, 9,617, the fire protection district and the, township were both just over 2,000, and our share would be 5,193. But again, like I said, we know we have the money in the budget, and it does need to be, you know, done this year. Well, it doesn't have to be done this year, but we want to do it this year if at all possible, so that's why we entertained, you know, up to an amount of no more than $10,000. If you have any questions, or if you have anything else you want to add that I didn't cover.
Is the extra amount in case another municipality or another governing body doesn't come up with their share?
Well, no, go ahead.
So what, the school district and the village currently have approximately 10,000 left in each other's budgets currently. The other entities, the fire district, the township, said that they would kick in their share once they are into their new budget, so that way, because there's not much funds in the, I wish Donna was here so she could actually tell us if you have it.
I have worded that,
of
but
We're
what's-
just fronting them, that's all, right?
Yeah, so they would end up back paying, or they would end up paying their portion into the general fuel fund that we could use in the future for future updates and things of that nature. So, it's just that the two larger entities right now have the most money that we could offer in order to get this. And the other thing too is with, the village being the overseer of the entire joint fuel system, the account manager, I guess, is, I think that's what the village is considered in that. This program will help Donna internally, our employee, a lot more than what she's capable of doing now. We've had, the school district and the fire district don't even have access to look at what their fuel costs are, what their mileages are and everything like that. We're making that report. This new program will allow every entity that's involved in it have their own access to it. There'll be multiple users as far as creating our key cards instead of only having to rely on Mike at the township. It's just a lot broader and makes things a lot easier, and it's all cloud-based. So that way you're getting up to date. We can track mileage on the trucks. We can track run times, things like that. If we get into, you know, a higher level in the future of stuff like that, it's a pretty neat software, but it's definitely, like the administrator said, our current system is very antiquated, and it definitely needs to be upgraded.
So if we put the 10 in, so we can do it now, and then eventually the other taxing bodies, you know, put their share in. So we will have just put in, there'll just be a little bit of extra in the fund in case something
Exactly.
breaks down or something
That's
comes up.
exactly right.
Yep, exactly. And actually, I did ask, I talked with Donna, because I was curious what the balance was. And like for an example, right now, the current balance in there is just over $11,000, but there's invoices that total up to $21,000 that are due in April. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have some money coming in too, but just kind of show that it's, you know, it will be good to have, right, it'll be good to have a little extra in there in case something happens.
So out of curiosity, with the new software, is that like an outright purchase, or is it like an annual licensing?
So the annual cost of it, I believe, was $39. I don't have that paperwork. $2,900 per year going forward. for their, software updates and things of that nature is the way I understood
Yeah,
it,
and
so.
that's included in the so
The initial
system
cost,
itself is
yeah.
17,000, but then that included the 19,000 that I stated earlier.
Right.
Includes the annual.
But then going forward,
It would just
annually it'd be 2,900
Yeah.
for software updating and things of that nature.
No, that's all, just
Okay.
curious, yeah.
You wanna make that
Okay,
motion?
yes, I'll make a motion to, approve the purchase not to exceed 10,000 towards the joint purchase of a computer for the joint fuel system.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call?
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannetti.
Yes.
Okay, consider a motion approving the proposal from Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $8,500 to perform pavement patching at 640 Elm Street and Dixie. This work needs to be completed due to a water main break that occurred. So I'll make a motion to approve the bid for the amount of $8,500 to Iroquois Paving.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
I just have a clarification. 640 Elm Street, and there's a separate patch at Dixie Highway, which is Pachenga's. They're two separate patches, so just to clarify that.
All right, roll call?
Giannetti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
Okay, discussion or update on the Dixie Highway Water Main crossover project. Nothing?
We have to decide whether or not we're
Gonna do it?
yeah, moving forward,
Move forward.
because we would have to award the project by the 29th, and just, I think after we've looked at it and had discussions, just, it's not something that, I think we can move forward with. There was a thought to, see if we could possibly, if that's something you guys wanted to do, to see if maybe we could do part of the project, scale it down a little bit, and rebid it out, and the thing is, we still have to come up, we're getting 500,000, but we still have to come up with 500,000, so.
What was the last total bid was 1.2 or 1.3?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So we have to come up with
yeah.
1.2.
Mhm.
I was getting nervous about this way back earlier last year as the prices kept going up, and, initially it was a good idea, 50% match from the county, but then when our price was no longer 500,000, it went up to 6, it went up to 7, it went up, it was just like,
Yep.
make it stop.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good project, but
Yeah, so when we added in the intersection of Indiana and Dixie, that doubled the cost of it up front right away. Just because of all the traffic lights you're dealing with, county and state, permitting and things like that in that specific area. Just how tight the intersection is and detours and things like that. They're worried about there being some acidic soil underneath there that they would have to take to certified EPA dump sites and things like that, which that's all included in the bid. If they don't find it, then they don't charge us for it, but it's one of those things that it's a potential cost that they had to include in their bid. So like the administrator said, as far as removing a portion of it, doing half of it, that would be the intersection I would say that we would remove. The rest of the project, as far as like down in front of DeYoung's or across from like the McDonald's gas station over there is kind of our problem areas. Along Dixie, I would like to see those areas be done instead of Indiana if we had to choose. My concern, and I know the administrator was gonna look into it, is the county offered us the 500,000 grant for the total project. And I don't know if they would allow us to keep that 500 coming our way if we were to start taking pieces out and piecemealing it back, so. It's something that we could look into. I think at that rate though, we'd definitely have to go redesign and then go back out to bid and things like that. So I think our current proposal though is due, what'd you say, the 29th?
yeah.
Or I'm sorry, our current bid is due the 29th, so I don't think there would be, I don't know if you have to do anything as far as rejecting the bid or not, or if it just falls off on the 29th, but, so, that's my philosophy on the current state.
I would look into that, just like
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
I'll
you
check
see the
with Tom.
condition of the mains and stuff and of the lines when you're having the breaks.
Mhm.
I mean, from a standpoint of, I guess we'd have to look at it, what's the, you know, what would we say our costs are if we have to fix this within the next couple of years? I mean, because do we replace it, or if we're, you know, if we're gonna be spending the same amount of money when it comes to fixing it, wouldn't it be better to just replace it? And then if we're fixing it, we're not getting the $500,000 from the grant.
The problem is if you're fixing it, and I get that.
I mean, for us, it may hurt
Yeah.
us in the long run if we're
Mhm.
fixing it, you
Right.
know?
But we have to come up with all the money now,
Which we don't
as
have.
opposed to fixing it over, 5 years. If it's the
Right.
same amount, it's just a matter of trying to, have all that money at once.
Mhm.
But, yes, I get what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
we went back and forth and we talked to the finance chair as far as taking a loan out for the additional 250, 300, whatever we needed to cover that difference of what we don't actually have in our account right now. As far as loans, you're tying your funds up for 20, 30 years, depending on what the EPA is allowing you to pay back on, if you can pay them off early, things like that. It's kind of a crapshoot either way, because you're either walking away from 500,000 that the county's willing to give us through their ARPA grant program, or you take a loan out and you tie money up for years to come, and then you're kind of bound not to do any other projects that, problem areas that we know exist throughout town, so.
I mean, even, like the superintendent said, when we met, probably a month ago now, we beat this thing pretty good. We don't even have the money to borrow from ourselves. The original numbers we got from the last administrator, like we're borrowing from water sewer debt, we're borrowing, I think, from general.
General, yeah.
Like that money's just not, like,
Right.
we need to borrow more than we have, so we can't even borrow from ourselves anymore.
You're talking about heading to the bank then to do it.
Yeah, and if we can get a scaled back version, we might be able to work that out.
Mhm.
I'd hate to walk away from the 500.
Right.
I mean, we just don't have the one.
Yeah, we'd have to check with-
I mean, we just don't have it, without getting it from an external source.
We'd have to check with the county if we would have to go through a whole resubmittal process for the grant with just the toned down version of what we wanted to do, or if they would just allow us to keep the 500 as long as it was going towards. My opinion is that they gave us the $500,000 grant because Indiana Avenue was included. They were getting something out of it just as much as we are. We submitted for 3 projects originally, and then they denied all those and told us to resubmit for 1, so we ranked. I don't know if you guys remember ranking our projects. The Dixie Highway Crossover project was the one that we chose to move forward with, and I strongly feel that the county gave us the $500,000 grant just because one of their roads was included within the project, and it looks good on them as well, so.
I mean, if we can get it scaled back to where it's maybe a 50-50 match or around there,
Mhm.
we can probably borrow from ourselves.
Yeah.
Should be enough in the water sewer debt. I know the general funds, we're a little tied up with that right now with the PDC, where that's total gonna land. But I think we'd be okay with the water sewer debt, if we can get it close to that 50-50 match with the county, we'd probably be able to swing that.
When do we have to let the county know? By the end of the month?
I'm not, of the county,
It's the.
Yeah, so
company
the
that
grant
they do the
Contractor
29th.
award the bid.
or the grants,
It's a
sorry.
rebid
that's-
anyway, though. If we're gonna change the scale of the project, it's a rebid anyway, so we're.
Right.
rebid.
Yeah.
So we have to rebid by that date? Or does that give us a
I'll
new
look into
bid?
that, I don't know how that works.
I mean, first
have
gotta
to
see if
read
the
it.
county's gonna let us
Right.
keep that money for us, another
Right.
project. If they're not gonna give it to us, then. there's
Because
no-
they may
there's no
have,
match.
other
Project.
entities that are ready to go, without redesigning and stuff like that have already applied, that they could just allow them to reapply again and give it to one of them too, so.
We check with the county first.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
checking on that.
Yeah, well, I looked at the contract, it says all costs must be obligated on or before December 31st, 2024, and expended on or before December 31st, 2026. So, I mean, that's the grant. So if we talk with them to see if there's, like I said, we can, scale it down a little bit, or if there's even, I know that's the project we wanna do, is there another project that we could do? That we need as well. If there's anything else we-
Right, I mean, we do have Miller Street, Miller
Is
Street
that- What was
from,
the other two, is Miller and what else? Was the other?
so the other two projects were, Miller from Dixie to Reed Street, where we could break that off into sections, do an A, a B, and then a total road. And then the third one was to add backup electric power to our well house number 5 out on Rolling Pass, but, yeah, we chose this up front, so we don't even have any real numbers or design on the well house project, but Baxter and Woodman does have full designs on Miller Street. So if we chose to go, a different route that way.
That's my report, Mayor.
Alrighty. Economic Development Community Relations Committee, for the last time, trustee session.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. Concert series update, there's not much here, we have the last contracts, I think we just received maybe today.
Yep.
The last 2 contracts, so once those are signed, we'll have all the bands locked in. I don't know, Joe, if you have anything else you want?
Nope.
I've handed over all my, tracking mechanisms and paperwork to Joe, so the
Yay.
show will go on.
Alright.
Appreciate all those then.
That concludes my report.
Alright, any old business to come before the board? Alright, can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees?
I give you a motion.
Thank you, there's a motion on the floor.
Sorry, you, Roger.
Is there a second? Yeah.
Second.
Alright, roll call.
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannetti.
Abstain.